Hello, good morning, early morning. Welcome to this overnight AM taste challenge. We have two non-age stated 40% alcohol Canadian blended whiskeys. All right. This is Royal Canadian. It is pretty inexpensive. I paid $8.99 for this bottle. I cannot get it anywhere around here, but I found it in Marrero, Louisiana, and I found a half-size bottle in Marrero, Louisiana. Never seen it anywhere else in Louisiana. It says this produced under the supervision of the Dominion of Canada, bottled in Frankfort, Kentucky by Buffalo Trace, but it says Sazerac on it because that's who owns Buffalo Trace. It's got a little Canadian insignia here. Two lions holding up a shield. It's not going to focus. All right. It's got a brown bottle, which is good. Protects it. Been on the market since 1934, in case you think they copied off of Crown Royal. It's actually older than Crown Royal. Been on the market since 1934. Now here's the Crown Royal Reserve or Special Reserve. Gold leather looking bag, purple crown. Here's your fancy bottle. Try to get it to focus. Introduced in 1991. They say they only used the top 1% of the Crown Royal barrels that are available at the time, whenever they pull it. No age statement, they just say it's aged longer. Oh, it's not going to focus. All right. There we go. Age longer than normal. Okay, so I said $8.99 for that one. I paid $8.99 for that bottle. This was and it says Crown Royal Special Reserve on the cap. So the cap still says Special Reserve. This was like $45, but I can find it. Well, theoretically, I can find it for $40 plus tax, but they never have it in stock. So you're going to probably pay $43 to $45. Okay. You would hope. I can feel that coming. It's not dusty in here. I'll keep the room clean. Don't let dust build up. All right. You would hope that the reserve would win since you're paying $36 more per bottle, about $32 to $36 more per bottle, but doesn't always work out like that, but I think it will. I do think it will. Now, I had trouble with Crown Royal Reserve, Special Reserve versus the other Crown Royal variants. Didn't really stand out like it should have, but let's see what happens. I think it's going to wipe out these other ones, honestly. I think this Canadian, Royal Canadian and all, they're not going to make it. Does Royal Canadian have flavoring added? I don't know. Does Crown Royal have flavoring added? I don't know, because sometimes flavoring is added to Canadian whiskey up to a certain percentage, like 9.9%. Let's turn on the big lamp. Now appearance, yeah, the reserve might be a little darker here, but it's isn't much of a difference, honestly, at all. Almost no difference at all, but just a half a shade darker. So we got one from Sazerac, Canada. That's the name of their operation up there, Sazerac, Canada. There's a distillery they talk about on the Sazerac.com website. They don't talk about the brands. They're just big talk about some of their Canadian brands like Caribou Crossing, Seagram's VO, which they bought years ago, 2018. They talk about maybe that's it. But Sazerac has so many different Canadian brands. It's crazy. There was one that had a red label that it's like a regular product, but then they have a small batch. I know they have Rich and Rare Reserve as opposed to the regular Rich and Rare, and Rich and Rare Reserve is very popular. Okay, I'm not talking about that one though. I'm talking about, I think it's this one actually. I think it's Royal Canadian Small Batch, and it's like a red label, and it's extra age, and it's kind of like their version of Crown Royal Reserve, but I never seen it except when they used to show it. They used to show it on the Sazerac website, but not anymore. Okay, so let's get to it. Like I said, I think it's going to be a wipeout, but overnight taste challenge. Smells like sweet corn, almost like popcorn. Sweet corn, any oak. Maybe. Certainly not the lead aroma. Corn. What about rye? I'm not really noticing that. Wheat whiskey, nah. Malt whiskey. It's hard to tell on the smell then. All right, over here. It's like the same aroma, but less of it. Like it's more washed out. Or if you want to say dull, there's a little sweet corn to it and like popcorn, but it's like vacancy. All right. Somebody was asking, what's all these boxes? Bunch of old comic books. Do they serve any purpose? I've read them all, so they serve the purpose of that. I read the stories, some of which were good, and then I display them on the wall over there. Like Superman, the issue that was out 50 years ago in May 1973, May 1983, May 1993, and so forth. So I do it like that, Taste. A little bit of toothpick wood and the corn. Kind of basic here. Basic. My daughter thought, ugh, when we first tried it years ago. We did a duo review. But then as she sipped on it, she's like, okay, it's not bad. I just wasn't used to that kind of flavor. Is it a sipper? Well, I think it's more like a mixer. Now, it's similar to VO. It's got this Sazerac tapered bottle. This is a little bit of an unusual Sazerac bottle where it's broad shoulder and it tapers down and it's got the Sazerac lip. But there's nothing else to say. Okay. Ha ha ha. Clearly, that's the Crown Royal. Yep. I'll tell you why. It's got a much richer flavor, a fuller flavor. There's whiskey saturated wood. I'm not saying charred oak, but oak. Um, there's the popcorn, some rye spice. There's a lot of you can tell it's extra aged, a lot of excitement going on with it. Now that didn't really pan out, let's call it, to use an old West term, because when I was going up against the other Crown Royal products. So did it dominate Crown Royal or Crown Royal Black or Crown Royal XO or the Crown Royal Blenders Mash, Bourbon Mash? No, it didn't. Because those are rich on their own. Even Crown Royal, you say, nah, Crown Royal's bland, ain't nothing happening with that. It is relatively bland in that sense, but in that overview. But compared to other Canadian whiskeys, Crown Royal is not bland. All right. Maybe. They're adding a little plum wine here. You say that's plum crazy. Can't add wine to Canadian whiskey. Well, actually, if you read the website, the government regulations, which I was reading, I think they've updated the regulation now where they just say flavoring. It doesn't specify. But the old regulations used to say wine of any type. Wine of any type, as long as it's aged in small wood, meaning a wine barrel. Plum wine is a type of wine, therefore, ding, 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 it would qualify. I mean, I doubt that's what they're using, but it just makes me think of that. All right. So, are there any redeeming qualities for Royal Canadian? Um, yeah, there are some, like the generalized whiskey flavor and a little wood. The negatives are it's a little bitey, it's a bit harsh. I don't really think that they're adding the they might be adding a little bit, but I don't think they're really adding the natural flavors to it to smooth it out or give it more character. Uh, Sazerac usually will tell you on the label with natural flavors, a Canadian whiskey with natural flavor. This does not say that. Doesn't say that on the bottle, so I guess we're gonna have to say it doesn't have it. Notice that I keep going back and forth. I'm not sure, but I'm starting to think no. The plum wine. I wanted to rinse it off. It's looking a little dusty, just even sitting in the cabinet. The plum wine aspect. Oh, that's right. It wasn't in the cabinet. It was on a shelf out in the open on that metal rack. So yeah, it could get dusty. The plum wine feature is probably a mirage. And you say, well, a mirage is visual. I know, but it's like a taste mirage. Now this is saying 7:52 a.m. Oh, let's see, 406-91107. I don't know what all that is. It's probably the bottling. It may not have anything to do with the distillation and aging because it's shipped down to Frankfort, Kentucky to Buffalo Trace. So anyway, is it worth the $8.99 if you find a bottle? Oh yeah, I guess so. I think so. I wouldn't go over 10. You said, well, 10 is cheap. I know I wouldn't go over 10. All right. So that should put it in the right perspective, right? You say, wow, a whiskey that's so low level that you wouldn't even pay over $10 for it. That's correct. I wouldn't. Now, I mean, unless it was a handle, which you might see, which is 1,750 milliliters instead of 750. So it's all right. It does have a little honey note. It's not a total atrocity or train wreck. But I wouldn't. I'm not gonna buy it. I wouldn't buy it again. The bottle's 2/3 gone, and I don't have a problem with that. Now the reserve, Crown Royal Reserve, Special Reserve, a lot of character, just intense woodiness. The almost like I said, whiskey saturated wood. It's like you took wood, you could wring it out, and the whiskey would come out of it. So it's really impressive there. But like I say, you will pay $41 to $46. Hopefully not 46. I think if it's over 45, I wouldn't buy it. I'd shop around. Like so, if you see it and it's $45.99, skip it. Check around. I know a store right here got it for $42.99 right now. Total Wine's got it for $39.99, but they never have it in stock. It doesn't really. It's good for them to have it theoretically at a low price, but it'd be nice if you could actually buy it instead of just looking at the website and them saying currently out of stock. Liam Gillespie says, "Morning, Jay, sipping on some Jim Beam at the moment. $12 at Safeway. $12. Can't take issue with that." All right, so we closing out. I guess I'd rather get Jim Beam for $12 than Crown Royal Reserve for $45. Jim Beam is straight bourbon whiskey. Huh, nice. So when we went up against the other Crown Royal products, it was a problem. But like I said, against all these other Canadian whiskeys I've got from other brands, this Crown Royal Reserve is going to whip them up. I do believe that. It's just going to be one defeat after another for the competition. So Crown Royal, I just think, is going to rack up a bunch of wins. Trouble against the siblings, the other Crown Royal products, trouble against them. Doesn't really match up, even though the price is very high relative to fairly high. But against these other Canadian brands, it's just going to chop them up. Now, maybe 40 Creek could hold its own at $19.99 a bottle, but I still don't think it's going to win. Nah. But it'll be the closest. It'll be the closest competitor, yeah. Okay, Crown Royal is very smooth. I buy it once in a while. It is, and the Reserve takes that to another level. So the Reserve is the smooth Crown Royal, but elevated. Just doesn't justify the elevated price that you pay, but still it's an elevated. BC's Beer Reviews, OBC's Beer Reviews, and honestly, regardless of if it's in a bottle or a can or even draft, he's going to be reviewing the beer. So I always watching his reviews, isn't it? So good morning, Ron, and good morning to you, BC. Back to you. So thanks everybody for watching. Kind of a one-sided thing here, but I think you can look for that for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be kind of a one-sided thing. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice Monday.